A double dissolution has come up in our discussion. He hasn't approached me specifically over that, but we were discussing the higher education legislation and what the likelihood that it would fail, and what the government's response to that would be. And he did mention the fact that they are likely to bring it back again in 3 months' time, unchanged, present it to the Senate. If that failed to get through a second time, that would give the government a trigger for a double dissolution. They'd need rocks in their head to call a double dissolution now. They'd lose it. But their government is nothing if not optimistic. So their assumption is that they will turn the polls around. They will have a realistic chance of winning. A double dissolution, in their opinion, not mine, might be an option. But there is no doubt that some of the crossbench is feral. I think that's true. And they won't engage with the government. They won't be productive. They won't be constructive. And I can't blame the government really for feeling as if, well, what have we got to lose with a double dissolution? Maybe we'll get some better ones next time.
If the Prime Minister has described the Senate as feral, that's completely unfair. In all my dealings with him, Corey Bernardi's been an absolute gentleman. This talk of a double dissolution election is more of a threat to nervous coalition backbenchers than it is to the crossbench. It seems not so much crazy brave talk as just crazy talk.
If there's a double dissolution, so be it, we'll win. And we'll be out there with strong policies.
But why on earth would they call one when they're so far behind in the polls? Is it more a message to the crossbenchers or the Liberal backbenchers? Why do you think they'd be considering this now?
Because they're pretty dopey. It's a pretty dopey government with a pretty dopey leadership. And, nothing seems to have any rhyme or reason. And if you're so stupid and so dopey as this Prime Minister and his ministerial team are, you can expect anything. You guys are going to have a good time between now and the next election because it's comedy time with this mob. Thanks.
I would be disappointed if we went to a double dissolution election, but I just say to my colleagues, for heaven's sake, all of us must do what we are elected to do by the Australian community and indeed the Western Australian taxpayer, and that is to get on and do the best thing for Australians, for Australian students, and for our reputation internationally. Well, I don't think the Australian electorate want to go back to an early election, but the government of the day must be allowed to govern. That is part of the Westminster system.
So it's an